At Numerian Capital, we bring you the latest stock news each day. Please like and subscribe so we can bring these articles to you each day. Thank you.
Today, October 4, 2022, SOFI Technologies, Incorporation's top owners are individual investors with 50% stake, while 35% is held by institutions. To get a sense of who is truly in control of SOFI Technologies, Incorporation, Nasdaq SOFI, it is important to understand the ownership structure of the business. The group holding the most number of shares in the company, around 50% to be precise, is individual investors. Put another way, the group faces the maximum upside potential, or downside risk. Institutions, on the other hand, account for 35% of the company's stockholders. Institutions will often hold stock in bigger companies, and we expect to see insiders owning a noticeable percentage of the smaller ones. Let's take a closer look to see what the different types of shareholders can tell us about SOFI Technologies. What does the institutional ownership tell us about SOFI Technologies? Many institutions measure their performance against an index that approximates the local market. So they usually pay more attention to companies that are included in major indices. As you can see, institutional investors have a fair amount of stake in SOFI Technologies. This suggests some credibility amongst professional investors. But we can't rely on that fact alone, since institutions make bad investments sometimes, just like everyone does. If multiple institutions change their view on a stock at the same time, you could see the share price drop fast. It's therefore worth looking at SOFI Technologies' earnings history below. Of course, the future is what really matters. SOFI Technologies is not owned by hedge funds. Looking at our data, we can see that the largest shareholder is the Vanguard Group, Incorporation, with 6.7% of shares outstanding. Meanwhile, the second and third largest shareholders hold 4.9% and 4.6% of the shares outstanding, respectively. A deeper look at our ownership data shows that the top 25 shareholders collectively hold less than half of the register, suggesting a large group of small holders where no single shareholder has a majority. While it makes sense to study institutional ownership data for a company, it also makes sense to study analyst sentiments to know which way the wind is blowing. Quite a few analysts cover the stock, so you could look into forecast growth quite easily. Insider ownership of SOFI Technologies. The definition of company insiders can be subjective and does vary between jurisdictions. Our data reflects individual insiders, capturing board members at the very least. Management ultimately answers to the board. However, it is not uncommon for managers to be executive board members, especially if they are a founder or the CEO. Insider ownership is positive when it signals leadership are thinking like the true owners of the company. However, high insider ownership can also give immense power to a small group within the company. This can be negative in some circumstances. Our most recent data indicates that insiders own a reasonable proportion of SOFI Technologies, Incorporation. It is very interesting to see that insiders have a meaningful $485 million stake in this $4.7 billion business. It is good to see this level of investment. You can check here to see if those insiders have been buying recently. General public ownership. The general public, who are usually individual investors, hold a 50% stake in SOFI Technologies. While this group can't necessarily call the shots, it can certainly have a real influence on how the company is run. Public company ownership. Public companies currently own 4.9% of SOFI Technologies stock. It's hard to say for sure, but this suggests they have entwined business interests. This might be a strategic stake, so it's worth watching this space for changes in ownership. Next steps. While it is well worth considering the different groups that own a company, there are other factors that are even more important. Be aware that SOFI Technologies is showing 3 warning signs in our investment analysis you should know about.
Thanks for watching Numerian Capital News. Please come back tomorrow for another stock news update. Thank you.